Fucking organised as always. Fucking around. There's things that I keep forgetting that I haven't done, like changing the timing of the music, setting it up for screen share and all that sort of stuff. And so then I end up fucking around. And I actually kind of watched back the last stream actually, and I saw that I quite like the fact that it's very annoying. That opening when I move the thumbnail around and all that stuff, like deliberately bad. I'm just trying to make it as bad as I possibly can. Anyway, I'm just doing a very, very, very quick catch up. I look like shit and I'm tired and all that stuff, but I won't stick around too long. But I just thought I'd have a little the thing about streaming when you are not a performer and you got to keep the muscle going, otherwise you just lose momentum. So I thought, fuck it, let's just do a little bit. So it's fun because I've actually been playing a bit with Twitter Spaces, and if you just, obviously I've got the Discord live now. So if you go to tayalu.xyz, it'll redirect you to the server. You have to accept my rules, all the usual stuff. At the moment, I've settled on Discord, mostly because it's easier for integrations. But I am seeing some benefit in Twitter Spaces, and I'm trying to figure out a way to integrate both of those together so that maybe we can have call-ins in a space and sort of route the audio all the way, through a Twitter space. But a lot of that is dependent on, like, you have to run it all through a phone. A lot of it's dependent on being able to run through like the desktop, and Periscope and Twitter and Spaces. They're all separate platforms at the moment, and it's going to be something that is a problem for Twitter moving forward. But it may end up, I'm just letting you know that it may end up just being Discord for now. We sort of move over to Twitter Spaces or some combination of both. One of the problems with apps in general is that, I don't know if you're in business, you end up having Slack, WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook Messenger, fucking, Discord now. Yeah, and everyone is like, you've got a million different apps, and it's like, well, I don't check them all. Unless you are sitting on your phone 24/7, it's just not a feasible thing. So there's two options, which is that I can automate and make it relay to each place and have meet people where they're at, which is obviously the most user-friendly thing to do. But obviously that takes time, resources. You've got to set up the automations. A lot of the things that people take for granted, because again, it's just one of those things where you get the fucking right-wing cash and you get all that stuff and you have staff, or on the alternative, you'll use free labor, which I won't do. Or exploit labor like Fiverr and that sort of stuff, which I won't do. It's like I live my politics. I don't just talk about it, I live it. And I won't like underpay people, and I won't use like interns and stuff, right? So you get to see what it actually involves when you are one person and you don't have the resources to do things, right? So that's just the reality of like what we're doing here. Let me just check. Let me just refresh this cache. It should be all right. I'll check it if I need to. Just turn studio mode. Okay. I thought that what I do, it's mostly just saying hi, but also just sort of telling you where I'm at. I've been a bit busy with uni and stuff like that, and I get to that point where stuff's got to be written. Like I actually do struggle. Like even though I talk about a lot of stuff and I do obviously well read, I write a lot. I'm good. Academic writing is its own beast. And when you have ADHD, I don't find academic writing easy. Okay. There's a reason why I just kind of move away from that, is because I actually find academic writing incredibly stressful. Okay. And so that, my last stream was very much about like AI and being falsely accused of being a fucking using AI, which is bullshit. I'll talk about that. But it's, nobody who is smart trusts this technology, right? Or anyone who knows how it works trusts this thing. So I think the consensus, I think, among engineers is not so much that it's the technology, but humans abusing the technology that's going to be the problem. And I'll get to that. But now with that sort of constant threat of sort of being accused of using AI, it's like it's caused me to have just so much anxiety, to the point where now I'm just sort of, because ADHD already has that inbuilt anxiety, already has that deadline anxiety, already has, it's already something that, getting things done on time is difficult. And it's quite specifically an academic essay. It doesn't matter if I can sit and talk about the topic, which I can at length. It's just that academic writing is its own beast, and they've sort of created this sort of, dare I say, unsafe teaching environment or unsafe learning environment where, again, you don't have to be safe, but it's hostile. It feels like a hostile academic environment when you already struggle with a learning disability. You already struggle to get essays done and, in the right structure and that sort of stuff, even if you're smart. But now with that other thing laying over, if you use a grammar checker or anything that sort of checks structure, there's always that risk that you'll be flagged as AI. So it's kind of causing this sort of thing where I'm like, how much do I want this? Like, seriously, I'm 44 years old. How much do I want this, right? And it really sucks, because I think I'd be a kick-ass lawyer. But I sit there comes a point where it's like, is it even worth the pain? And I go through that again. I'm going through it again, and I hate myself for going through it again, because it'll be yet another discontinued course. But I'm at least committed to finishing and getting through these units, so that if I change my mind, at least I can go back to it in 6 months rather than just dropping out mid-unit, which is what I tend to do. So I'm just pushing through that. But that's been a bit of stress this week. But also, obviously I haven't been feeling well. Like my recovery is, up and down and up and down. And, but also just testing a few things and focused on client work, and, committing the mortal sin of taking time off when you're self-employed means that you've sort of, you now got to play catch up. So, but anyway, that's why I haven't been around. And also just, it's not my job. It's what I do around other things. So I thought, okay, well, keep the muscles going, keep the muscles flexing. I want to commit to doing more writing and more newsletters. If you are subscribed to my newsletter, you will have gotten an email last night. That was a re-engagement email. Obviously, people will sign up and forget they signed up. And then you get an email where they go, I didn't sign up. It's like, yeah, you did. I don't add people to things. But if you want to sign up to my email list, that will be my sort of, or the Discord, those will be sort of again, I'm figuring out ways to automate so that people can choose where they're reached, and what format they receive, like updates and that sort of stuff. So you can just sort of follow me everywhere. But that stuff obviously requires a lot of like automation hours. You've got to sit down and fix those flows. That costs money as well. There's subscriptions, all these things cost money and resources that, you just, it's just a fact, right? So you either do it yourself and code it yourself, which takes, hundreds of hours, or you, pay a subscription and you got to set it all up and all that stuff, but then you've got an overhead. Okay, so that's always that trade-off, and that's just one of those things. And this is part of the reason why I think if you were watching listening to my space the other night about sort of how that machine works, like I do want to run a few more things. I'm running a weekly Twitter space at the moment, which because I was actually very surprised. I ran a space and people, I actually was surprised that people are actually more interested in the tech side of this stuff than I realized, and the campaigning, especially digital campaigns, how content works, what MCNs are. Like, obviously, like my channel has 600 hours of content talking about it, but I've also realized that I'm not seen on Twitter. Still, obviously, people are not seeing me, okay? Because if I show up on spaces, people show up, they go, oh, I didn't even know you were here. The fact that I'm just not discoverable, and we don't know why. I'm trying to find out. I keep harassing Twitter, but I don't know what's going on. But, like it is at the moment, Twitter's probably the best bet. Facebook are trying to really gamify all of the, I think they're kind of hungry for content creators. I don't identify as a content creator, but I'm an adult who has a job that happens to also create information. But I'm actually embarrassed for people to call me a content creator, because I'm not in the content game. But content is a commodity, right? I'm not, I work within a space where it has to be commodified, but it's not my ideal. If I could find someone that would just sponsor my shit and make it free and open, available for everyone, then I'd be happy, but that's just not happening. So just want you to know, I don't like the word content. It is not content. And a big part of the thing with the space that I had the other day, which was how few people realize that the politics is separate from people who use these issues as content for other people. And that's why, I thought I'm not going to show it to you. You can go have a look yourself. But this is why Jordan Peterson I find very interesting with his commentary on AI, because people just take this shit on face value, right? Where he's kind of on the spook over AI train, okay? And this, it's going, this is your brain on Red Scare. This is your brain on American propaganda, okay? This is your brain on pro-capitalism, pro-meritocracy. This is your brain on Western civilization. It doesn't go well, because it basically means that when you are committed to a certain worldview, okay, you realize that the funny and the irony about Jordan Peterson is that his analysis is the whole premise in which he builds his entire argument. It all falls apart the second he acknowledges that he's wrong about Marxism and the geopolitics of all of it, and the fact that the answers are within the thing that he claims is that he's demonizing. Okay, this is a critique of capitalism. Okay, this is the things about AI. These criticisms of AI are easily explained from the left. These things that, he's calling like all of it's just funny to see this man, his brain just melt on it and collapse in on itself, because he has to double down in support of capitalism, in support of this meritocracy, in support of all of these things, okay? And you're just watching someone like, there's a lot of studies around like dissonance and cults. And so when, what's the study? It's when there was a book, and again, it's not probably very scientific, but there is, some indication in psychology, in studies, that this is the case, which is, and, especially in cults, which is when prophecies fail. Okay. So when I'd say when premises fail is probably another good way to look at the way a lot of these things, sort of unfolding. It's not just prophecies failing, but premises, okay? Which is that, I spell, oh my God, you fucking knob. Anyway, when premises fail, what you discover that the whole house of cards that you've built your entire fucking, brand, political worldview, all these things, the dissonance, you either have to lean into it, you either have to go, okay, I accept that I'm wrong, or you have to double down. And there's a proportion of people who, when a prophecy fails, like with a death cult or whatever, they'll just bend their brain. So rather than go, oh, I've been conned, oh, fuck, that was a lie, oh, fuck, I've been had. You will see that there's a portion of people who will just make up a new prophecy or move the bar or shift elsewhere, okay? Because we're seeing, this is why cult stuff, and again, I think that this is one of those things where these marketing things are very adaptive because they use listening tools and they use like various tools for sentiment analysis. They know what their critics are saying as well, okay? So sentiment analysis is basically something where you take a feed from social media and you listen to what people are saying and you gather all that data and you try to get an idea of like what people are talking about, how they're feeling about things, okay? But a smart marketer, anybody who is remotely sort of capable of that, they're also paying attention to what their critics are saying. And that was something that I found quite interesting early on. And that was kind of a red flag for me with this culture wars stuff, which was I would see myself talking about certain things. And then I would see it taken and flipped, okay? Taken and flipped in order to control the narrative. That's something that is a PR person does. Now, again, I don't have any proof of this because, again, this is stuff that all just works behind the scenes. I'm talking as a practitioner in these in digital listening and digital strategy, all those things, what they do and what is most plausible, okay? What is the most plausible solution, but the outcome here? Which is that there's people using listening to what their critics say, figuring out a narrative around that, those criticisms and using like basic sales strategy, which is like objection handling and, all those sorts of things, which is in sales, that's called, like I said, objection handling, where someone, you come with pre-prepared sales pitches to sort of talk the person out of any objections that they might have, but you already remember, it's like a sales script, so you're ready. Okay, so if they go, oh, I don't have any money. Oh, well, here's our payment plan. Oh, well, I have this. It's like that's a sales strategy, right? And anyone good at marketing and anyone good at PR understands that they need to get on top of the story. They need to, handle objections. And so a lot of it comes down to having done these types of this type of training and having this type of work as part of my job, but also, again, knowing the unique political theories that I go, well, that's bullshit. You're wrong. Like it's a clear, analysis of ChatGPT. Like I did it yesterday. Actually, it's on my website. And if you are subscribed to my email list, you'll get it on Sunday. It's now I've set it up so that you actually get notified when I post. One of those things I just never get to, but I have. I've done that now, which is that people are forgetting, like this whole premise, the doomsday is around AI. Okay, the doomsday is around, because of COVID excuse. This is the same stuff. And people act like economics is like a weather event or an earthquake. It's like, no, these are human beings making decisions. And unfortunately, under capitalism, we all know when you're doing a critique of how capitalism works and operates and what it prioritizes. And if you've been paying attention to me, you'll know that capitalism is basically prioritizing profit and socialism is prioritizing the needs of people. That's very simple. In terms of the way that you design your economy, the vision that you have, okay, capitalism orients towards the prioritizing profit, okay? They may wrap it in all sorts of nonsense, and that's what you're seeing right now. ChatGPT, totally woke, totally polite, but they're doing it because it's friendly. Okay, they're doing it because of, they're doing it because they want to corner the market. They're doing it because they want to be palatable. They're doing it because they want to be, the most powerful sort of. Let me think. what's the word? They need to sanitize it in order to be accessible to more people in a market. That's how they see it. They're not doing it because they care about the ethics of AI. Some do. But those people get, somehow you find a way to operate within capitalism and make all these justifications. And much like a cult, okay, you're in the cult, okay? Sunk cost shit. Once you're in it, okay, you will make all these little trade-offs, these little rationalizations, these faulty, you just go, oh yeah, well, I'm going to go in this direction, okay? I'm going to make I'm going to change it from within, right? There's no bigger cult than that fucking idea, okay? Which is the idea that you can change capitalism from within without compromising who you are, okay? That's why you very rarely see people from the left, you see them drift towards this sort of, virtue signaling, middle management, be polite, this polite left. It's convenient for a middle class that has progressed through middle management, professional class, right? And I've been seeing people use PMC lately, so professional middle class, right? But you see this because it's a palatable form of left-wing politics, but it's very difficult to maintain your position in an organisation. It is very difficult to, you're perceived as difficult. You're perceived as negative. You're perceived as someone that people don't want to work with because you make them feel uncomfortable. People like Nike would feel very uncomfortable with someone like me in a brand team pointing out that the one thing that they can do to change the optics of their brand is to take away the sweatshops. People like me don't get hired at places like Nike because I'm focused on the real fucking problem. And that's, and again, part of the reason why, I'm 44 years old. I sort of circled back, okay, because again, probably because of my upbringing, and I realized what my roots were, and I realized that I had abandoned, my class, and I kind of sort of went, okay, well, am I Lenin or am I Rosa Luxemburg or who am I in this? Okay, and it's like, well, no, I'm somebody who wants to make politics and the electoral process and information accessible to people who need the information. Okay? Not somebody who wants to just get tenure for myself or sit and use Marxism as an undergraduate essay in which, I'm not going to use class politics as a veneer for my own class position. That's a tension within within the left. You're seeing that actually unfold. It's really fascinating actually to see that unfold with, there was I don't know if anyone watches them, but Australians anyway. I don't know if any Australians watch them. Crystal and Kyle and those Breaking Point. I watch Breaking Points, The Hill, and a couple of just a few sort of people who sort of float between the two because it just kind of somewhat gets to outside culture wars stuff. Again, obviously it's still American content, but I watch I watch kind of a broader range of media than I think a lot of people do, mostly because I sit at home and I work and it's on in the background and I understand the analysis, but I like to see sort of where the sentiment lies, right? Much like I was talking about with PR and media. One of the first things you do if you're running media or running a campaign is that you know what your enemies are saying, you know what the media is saying about you, you know all that stuff, and you try to anticipate that and address that, right? So I'm due for another coffee. Paul's going to bring me one. But you get ahead of that, right? You can't really act and do marketing without having a clear sense of what you want to, what you're going to say, who you're going to say it to, what your critics are going to say, and all that sort of stuff. That's what a comms person does, okay? So obviously I watch a lot of these things. And but there was Crystal Ball and Carl Kalinske got married, and there was this big shitstorm because a bunch of like left-wing YouTubers turned up. I say that in apostrophes because obviously some of them are just it's content, right? It's not. Some are legit, some it's just business and content. Some it is both. And they are naive and think that they can change the system, like it's a combination of things. Again, I've worked on in this side of politics in some varying form, in varying disciplines for my whole life. I come from a fucking pretty bad background and a pretty impoverished background, and I don't forget that. Okay, So, I kind of just sort of circled back. So I went in to the professional class, the PMCs, saw they were a bunch of wankers and a bunch of liars and that they wanted to change who I am in order to make the next steps. And I kind of went, you know what? I'm not falling for that fucking carrot. Again, you get enough years under your belt. Like I spent 20 years trying to get the acceptance of people who I knew I was never going to get the acceptance of, right? That's why I don't give a shit about this. I don't care about fucking YouTube. I don't care about being famous because I know that people you can't, you can either win people or you don't. And it's like, okay, well, whatever. So, but if you do like me, share me, support me so I can find more of those, okay? Because they are thin and, they're few and far between because I'm, niche, okay? And that's okay. But, Crystal and Carl got married and they invited, I think, Marianne Williamson. I actually like her, but again, you can like someone and I don't know, but anyway. But there was a criticism about access journalism that sort of broke apart the left, which was that perception that because of the, I'm just going to explain it very quickly because it's not really that relevant, but I'll just quickly tell you to just have a look at it. But this is that common gap in the left, okay, which is that you've got working class politics, people who actually work in, working class jobs, okay, blue collar jobs, okay, the nurses, but people from unions, people who are organising, working poor, all of that sort of stuff. But then you've got a professional class of lefties, okay, who use leftist theory somewhat as a weapon to alienate and more recently crucify people who are working class and have a slightly different view, right? And America has used that weapon quite, American political commercial interests in varying capacities have used that to their advantage in order to sort of, keep the left squabbling over dumb shit. Now, the criticism of a journalist like Crystal Ball and Carl, I don't know if he's a journalist, he's a YouTuber, but, a journalist actually, inviting a presidential candidate to their wedding is that, one of the criticisms is that it's sort of selling false hope to a very desperate and very serious left-wing movement who sort of tapped out. They're emotionally, politically, financially tapped out after being fucked over with the Bernie campaign. And they perceive that, that these guys are just creating content and using Marianne's sort of lifestyle brand and, that when, and I saw someone refer to AOC as a lifestyle brand politician, and I found that's a very interesting way to I'd never considered it a lifestyle brand, but that's actually a very accurate and apt description for many of these sort of content creators where politics is a lifestyle brand. Okay. It's like those people who, let's use an analogy. So there's chefs, okay, people who have created they work in a restaurant. Gordon Ramsay, okay, working chef. Jamie Oliver, they're legit chefs. They work as chefs, okay? But then you've got people who have a recipe blog who aren't trained chefs. They're not trained cooks. And, they might appear the same. They might have content, but they have a source of income outside with their restaurants and their businesses and their business interests or TV deals or whatever. With recipe blogs, right, you'll see that these blogs, they're just completely, they just kill your computer with scripts and ads, right? They're full of banner ads. They fucking ramble about themselves and it's just content for them, okay? Now, there's going to be some who are sort of enthusiastic cooks. I've often thought about setting up a recipe site because I'm a pretty good cook and I've got my own sort of, recipes and people often ask me how I make stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I've thought about it. But, so there are people in the middle who are just hobbyists who are legit, who just want to share their recipes. But then there's those people who are it's just a content. If it wasn't food, it would be like, again, I've seen that shift over the years where motherhood, mummy blogging, we saw that where authentic mummy blogging, authentic stuff sort of became popular. Okay. I was part of that where just sort of, I've talked about that before. Before I nuked everything years ago and, it was somewhat popular blog, okay, being a snarky sort of mum, all right. But that kind of got co-opted by corporate interests and the Blog Her network and those MCNs. And so they were, they were pooling resources and like sort of negotiating advertising deals with networks of blogs. They created a group and a clique of people who, and they made themselves sort of the the monopoly, the business. So, hang on, let me get. So, don't eat ice on streams, Tay. So rather than, the model that was intended with popular like mummy blogs, right, which was that advertisers could approach that blog and advertise to their specific audience. Advertisers got lazy, and so they started to make deals with like the Blog Her is an example of an MCN where they created a network of different websites of women who got together. It's a form of, in a weird way, it's a form of collective bargaining. Yes, I'll give that, right? It is a form of, but that's the rationalization that you make. That win-win between capitalism and workers it's always just in the undercurrent, that there's always the corporation that wants to exploit the people who are doing the labor, and the labor people always get fucked over by those who use the hope of those who are doing the work. And then there's sort of a class, a person who builds a product around that, Blog Her, build their own opportunity where they're scraping a share. So the people who are writing blogs are paying a portion of their income to this third party, and they're double dipping because they're taking money from advertisers and allocating it and taking a cut. There's a middleman then, okay? And that middleman is the thing that sort of keeps these things ticking along. And we've seen that happen more and more with, it happened obviously with mummy blogging, where people who weren't sincere and they had the wrong motivations and they weren't authentic and they were, they just kind of built their empires off the back of like people who just wanted to tell stories and work and, all of those sorts of things. So that is a common thing. So, but on the left, obviously, because people are hurting, people are, struggling, they need hope, they need leadership, they need, all these things. You have infighting, there's infinite drama. You're going to have people who see it as content, much like those, cooking blogs or anything like that, and then you've got those people who are doing. Okay, they can leave, like myself. I could just decide to not do this and go and do something else and be fine. If anything, this fucks me. Okay, and just sort of talk about stuff. And it's just, but then there's going to be people who are detached from this politics because, first of all, they've sort of been born, middle class and up, so they don't have a real emotional attachment to socialism. It's purely theoretical. And I've talked about that before, I think, with the difference between someone like, say, Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks and Emma Vigeland from the Majority Report. Like, you see that stark difference in priorities because, Anna, despite doing okay now, she obviously had a working class upbringing, and you can tell there's all these tells. Also the teeth, the teeth people. If you got $50,000 teeth in your 20s, I'm sorry, but I've never been able to afford to get my fucking teeth fixed. Anyway, this is all natural, but otherwise, like, I'm glad I don't have shotgun mouth. I've only got one, but like, again, it's all, a lot of it you can just look and you go, oh yeah, you've got $50,000 worth of dental work. Okay, you see, I know it's funny, but like, there's little things that you can spot. It's a fun thing when you're paying attention to these types of things, this content. You kind of amuse yourself, right? You entertain yourself, and you go, oh yeah, okay. But for the people who are lecturing about standpoint, you can only what's the word, standpoint epistemology, right? Which is that thing, boring. Which is basically, well, you got to shut up and listen to the people who actually live this, and that applies to class. Like Jew dissidents actually mentioned this. So I'm nicking from that probably, I think. But I just wanted to make it clear that one of the criticisms is, this idea of being a class trader, and that there's this sort of, middle class and up, group of people who have never fully experienced what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. They have never had to live on, they've got a built-in audience because of who their parents are or whatever, okay? They also get clicks and likes and all that sort of stuff because at some point they're sort of useful to an advertising machine that, like, for whatever reason is politically beneficial to somebody. That's the nature of this business. You have to be useful to somebody in order to sort of, grow. That's just the reality. But then you've got obviously all these agencies that will just recruit actors. You've got agencies that will recruit greedy people who just who just want to like do click fraud and make it about the money and the clicks. And, there's something honest about Murdoch and the Daily Wire and the right wingers, because at least we know that they're, as much as they fool people into thinking that they care about these issues, they don't. It's all about the clicks and the money and if anything, I never actually did that stream on Stephen Crowder's deal, but that actually lifted a lid on a lot of things like the business model, which is that, it's purely numbers for them. It's purely numbers game. It's got nothing to do with the issues. It's just we can shift units, okay? And I think that that's where I think people get confused because obviously these are political issues that are very deeply held by people and they're sort of desperate. We've got, crazy inflation, we've got crazy rents, crazy cost of living, and you've got these, people who've never experienced actual poverty. They see have a theoretical understanding of what it means to strike, what it means to organise, like the people who actually, again, I've seen this happen, like that whole corporate feminism. A lot of it did come out of the internet. It's a combination of lots of different things, but a lot of it did come out of that, which was that, let me think. So, like I said, out of these networks, you had these people that would sort of, it was just a honeypot for fucking, middle class mums with nothing better to do. They, I spent a good 3 years serving these people, building their fucking websites. They'd have a baby, their first baby. They were professionals. They had money. They had husbands that were like rich lawyers, doctors, whatever. They had their side business. They would pay me, struggling working class mom, and treat me like shit, I might add, most of them. I was always having to fucking shut off their shit or threaten to shut off their shit and all that stuff to try and get them to pay me on time, which was just fucking, that was, oh my God. I could do a whole thing on setting boundaries in that regard. But now I just fire people who don't pay me on the spot. It's the golden rule for my fucking business. If you don't pay me on time, that's it. I don't care. That's just one of those things because I'm not a fucking not a zero interest bank. Thank you very much. But anyway, these women would they'd have a baby. Their baby would be the middle of the fucking center of the universe. They would then decide to set up a fucking organic clothing business or organic toys and all that fucking mummy shop e-commerce business. They'd set up a lifestyle brand and they would import everything from China because they had the money, they had the credit card, they had the line of credit to be able to go and just source their shit from China or source their shit from wherever, treat all their vendors like shit and create themselves a lifestyle brand off the back of mummy blogs where that was authentic and real and people like me kind of got left behind, called negative, never paid, all that sort of shit. This stuff comes from a place of experience. So that has parallels with today's feminism, which I can talk about probably separately. But, I think that the biggest confusion here, and this is the same thing with Jordan Peterson and his fucking grandpa yelling at clouds over AI, and I will talk a bit about AI in a minute, because I think really people need to understand how AI, what it actually is and does, because people are just anthropomorphizing this fucking thing. They are giving it way too much credit, and I just want to warn you that it'll be humans that fuck AI. It will not be AI. And I wrote this yesterday. And you can go and read it. It started as just a LinkedIn thing because I'd read all these people talking about how inevitable, job losses are because of AI, how inevitable it is, or how, all these things. And I'm sitting there going, well, no, it's not inevitable. Do you know why? Because people make choices. How come I'm required to take personal social responsibility, Jordan Peterson? How come I'm required to work on myself, clean my room, do more, lean in, fucking, try harder, study more, put myself through years and years of fucking academic essay torture, keep trying, keep bashing my head against a brick wall. And for you guys to turn around and act like all of the job losses from AI are inevitable. They are a choice that someone makes on behalf of a corporation. And this is something that Jordan Peterson cannot admit publicly. We know is true, okay, which is that it is a decision to do mass layoffs. It is a decision to put prices up and gouge people during an inflation and a pandemic. It is a decision to put HR corporate cops in place so that you can't talk about fucking, the sweatshops and instead sort of distract people with these, United Colours of Benetton bullshit, okay? It's this cynical stuff. It's not, it's just bonkers how he's just, this world, it's linked to the new CEO, the World Economic Forum stuff, which is fucking hilarious. this idea that they think the WEF is communists. Fucking brilliant. But it's just insane. It's like it's literally the opposite of that. But again, the World Economic Forum can just distract because they can talk about some creepy shit that feeds everyone's like bullshit biases about what communism is, which it isn't that. And, just swallowed whole the giant big dick of fucking Red Scare, like American fucking propaganda. It's just insane. And I love how they will just, North Korea's propaganda is out of sight. It's like, have you fucking seen yourselves? Like what you believe that is factually untrue? Like if you just read for 2 minutes, if you just look up the Wikipedia page. Oh, but see, the thing is you can't look up the Wikipedia page. You know why? Because it's all part of this conspiracy, you see. It's all just this invisible them, the woke moralists.
That mass murderer, Karl Marx.
Right. All this big invisible boogeyman. Okay, rather than humans. That's the thing that I find hilarious about this psychologist, apparently a psychologist, who doesn't understand the basics of human political psychology and the basics of like social psychology. And this is easily explained through the lens of psychology. I did a year of fucking basic grade dip like level psychology, and I came out with a more complex understanding of this shit. Thank you. And it's like, it's basic, it's 101 shit. So anyway. Which is that people in large groups operate in self-interest, and that is encouraged because of a profit motive. People who value profit and, people who only value profit, people who are self-interested. It's not that people are, see, this is where they have it backwards. People's self-interest is not a law of nature. People are the product of the structures that they're born into, a part of. We learn very early on that it's every man for themselves. We learn very early on that only the fucking strongest survive. We have all these narratives given to us from day one. Okay, all of the structures in place tell us that you've got to be ruthless. You've got to make concessions. You've got to keep giving in and giving in and giving in and giving in. And if you just try this a little bit harder, you lean in, you do a bit more, you work some extra hours, work a bit of overtime, we'll promise you some, all these things, make all these promises. Maybe in 3 months you might get a little bit more money. Loads more work, but a little bit more money. And, eventually 20 years passes and you end up a bitter old cow like me, right? And you go, no, hang on, this is a lie. I remember what I was about when I was in school. I remember what I learned. I remember my experiences, and you're full of shit. And the problem is that there's a lot of people who get so far in, right? A lot of people have mortgages, bills to pay, families, reputations. It's a lot to give up a social position. Some people have been forced to through, misspeaking on various things, but for the most part, it's very difficult to, radically. It's hard enough being in business and failing to make enough money to feed your kids, okay? It's and keep a roof over your head. And that's the reality of most small, the first years of most small businesses. I think unless you run a business and especially bootstrapped a business, you don't understand the kind of internal talk that happens with somebody who has decided to start a business and it's not going well, and the sort of, the external stuff that you get, which is, because you're sold this idea that, if you try harder, you work harder, you just got to try things, do sales training, do these things, do marketing, do better marketing, do more, try harder, A/B test it. Why don't you pay some business coach $1,500 a month? He has your best interests at heart. Why don't you, all those sorts of things, right? This is just a shit show of exploitation across, like I said, everyone wants to succeed. Most people are good. Most people want to do the right thing. But there is a layer of opportunism under capitalism because those people decide this is the service business, right? When you start a small business, fucking sharks start circling to try and sell you their service. Okay? They try to sell you whatever they're selling to help you get your business, but they only want their slice. Okay? I've always, if I was to hire, obviously not hire, but retain the number of times that I've hired people, like business development people over the years, and they have not delivered and they have still demanded payment and all those sorts of things. And I go, well, no, that's the only area where I think paying commission makes sense because, you know, these people tend to just sit on retainers and not do anything. Okay. But that's, you know, that's that professional class of people who's they're directly slicing money off of your labor. Like, I'll go, fuck that. But obviously if you're doing labor, I won't exploit that, right? That's just something that I have as a principle. But unfortunately, like I said, this stuff trickles. The only thing that trickles down is the shit and the cost. And we're seeing that with inflation, which is that corporations choose to pass on those things. They choose to lay people off from AI, because of AI, just like they put prices up because of COVID, or they limited the supply because of COVID. That was a bullshit cop-out. If you were actually a good person, you could have made it work and absorbed the cost and communicated with your shareholders and said, you know what, we need to absorb this a bit. No, instead you get record profits. Okay, so turning around and saying that ChatGPT is woke and that the communists are coming over, it's like, oh, fuck off, dickhead. It's like, it is very entertaining to watch this person come unstuck because the answer is really simple, which is that people are, you know, we're in a system that doesn't work. We're in a system that promotes greed. We're in a system that promotes corruption. And we're also in a system that promotes commodification, homogenization. This is Disneyfication, McDonaldization. This is valid sociological theory that, you know, that everyone fucking who even thinks. You don't even have to understand the theory. If I say the McDonaldization of the world, you understand somewhat what I'm talking about. Or IKEA or Disney. Generic, mainstream commodification. It's boring. It is middle of the road and it's not very fucking good. It's interesting, but it's mass market shit. Mass media, right? Thinking as a service, right? It's the same concept. And so, like, it's funny to see that because he exploits, first of all, people's misunderstanding about what Marxism is. He's wrong. It's not true. He's just lying at this point. It is not true. Read it on Wikipedia. You don't even have to be, again, I'm not going to be one of those bougie fucks that says, oh, you don't know your Marx. No, don't. Just look at Wikipedia, okay? Ask Taya, am I prioritizing people and their well-being, or am I prioritizing profit and the well-being of people to get profit? You know, a smaller number of people, okay? That's it. It's not that fucking difficult, all right? You know, like, again, you obviously have to sacrifice precision in order to communicate, which is what a bunch of dumb fucks don't realize. But that's something that the right understand, which is that they can veer you in a certain direction away from and being pro-capitalist. This is why right-wing libertarians' brains are melted so badly, because their dissonance is flying off. It's like it's like they just don't have the tools. It's like, it's so simple. It's really not that hard, which is that corporations don't give a fuck about anybody. And people who are working in corporations make decisions every day for themselves because it's difficult to do the hard work. It's difficult to be the CEO that turns around and says, no, fuck you. It is difficult to shareholders. Also, legally, they can't, okay, because they have that fiduciary responsibility to shareholders. That's why having a public company, as soon as it's a public company and they've gone woke or what, you just go bullshit, because we all know that you're not going to make a stand, because making a stand actually costs you something. These guys made money from this stuff. Okay, regardless of, again, this is one of those mythological fucking bullshit things that the right likes to tell you, which is get woke, go broke. Of course they don't. Of course it doesn't. You know, like, it's clever marketing to piss them off. If anything, if I was a brand marketer, I would be going to them and offering them $1 million to create a storm in a teacup, which is what I think. Honestly, I'm at that point where I just assume that that's what's going on, that money's changing hands. Like that Mars thing with M&Ms. I was like, surely Mars fucking had a call. Because again, this is where people who confuse content with politics. Once you realize that all of this stuff is just ad money, clicks, it is content, it is entertainment, it is not politics. People who are interested in politics is boring. It is procedural. It is fucking academic essays. It is fucking going to meetings. It is showing up. It is organizing. It is making people feel fucking uncomfortable. It is seeing HR as a fucking enemy, not your ally. Okay, that's the left. The left is losing. That is, if there is one thing other than shit fights and the perfect being the enemy of the good at all times, the thing that defines the left is that you are on the losing side 99.5% of the time. Okay? This shit over here is content. It is brand content to distract you from the economics. Okay? Economic reality. Yes, even the trans shit, ladies. Okay. This culture wars shit is designed to stop you thinking about the accumulation of wealth that is happening as a result of it is hijacked your views of patriarchy, your experiences as your material experiences of oppression, all of this stuff, because a bunch of fucking men, rich white men, okay, decided that they were entitled to all of the things. They then decided to allocate it to some of their rich white lady friends who told us to lean in. Those ladies decided, well, shit, that's not enough. We'd better give it to our rich black friends and our rich LGBT people, our rich trans women. Are we seeing the fucking thing here? And this is where that division in the left, right, that rift between those who understand the stakes. And this is one of those valid arguments with trans rights, the stakes argument. The stakes argument is the most compelling one, because when you're seeing the fucking bills that are going before Parliament right now, and you're seeing the fucking bullshit, you're seeing the rhetoric where they're aligning with fucking fascists, and I'm using that word definitionally, fascists co-opt revolutionary rage, energy that should be heading towards socialist movement and revolution and change, not even revolution, but reform, real reform, and they spin it and they twist it and they steal it and they turn it towards groups of people, okay? And then they turn on you and you get dumped out at sea. Fascism is like a fucking twist. As I've said this before, it's like a twister going through the town. It'll pick you up and you might be fine. You might be in the eye for a while. You're all right. But eventually that thing just dumps everyone out at sea. And that's the fucking reality, which is that and you need to be, like I said earlier, it is very difficult to go, all right, you know what? I fucking spent 20 years believing that I was going to get accepted if I just tried harder. I spent fucking 5 years aligning myself with fucking like fascists who were now like passing legislation that bans drag. Or like fucking this Helen Lovejoy, Mrs. Mangle moral panic bullshit that's happening in the US. If you align with that, I'm sorry, but you're gone. Like, I'm trying to win people back, but at the same time, it's like, well, what's the fucking point? Because there comes a point where if you're part of that 30% that's still, doubling down on a prophecy that's failing or doubling down on the faulty premise. The faulty premise is that the left has changed. The faulty premise is that the left has not been here the whole fucking time and that you've been letterboxed into a right and far right fucking, paradigm based on content and media and an ecosystem that is purely designed to numb you and give you dopamine. It is designed to make you not show up and not get mad at the real fucking things. And that's the reality of this stuff. Okay? And that's the thing where it's like, it's funny because it is actually related somewhat to this Twitter CEO business, okay? It's all sort of interrelated. But it's like, I forgot to put my fucking Hale Ants image up. I'll do that. I'll hang on, let me send it to the I can't do it from the iPad. Ah, shit. Anyway, that's all right. But it's linked to that, which is that you need to be willing to back out and know when to fold and know when to go, you know what, I've lost enough. I've given away enough. I've lost enough of my reputation. I've fucking fucked up enough. I need to just go, I'm sorry, I fucked up, and find your way back, because this shit's fucking not okay. And I know that the people, they're very persuasive because they're people, again, lots of different people doing it, but they're very persuasive salespeople. Very good at arguing, very good at staying on point, very good at objection handling, because they measure those people who criticize them. They've always got an answer because that's what they're doing. They're marketers. They're PR. Okay? It's not politics. It's inciting a riot. It is content. It is fucking, narcissism. So that you are distracted and thinking that because you're so desperate for leadership, which we saw during the pandemic, you are so desperate for change, you are so desperate because of your position in the world and you feel hopeless and you haven't been given the tools. And I'm not saying that in a, I'm saying that's just on purpose, okay? I'm not saying, read a book. I'm not one of those people. This is my whole fucking thing is about making sure that people understand that, you haven't been given the right tools. You are fucking being manipulated. This is all content for ads, for clicks, and, for people to ignore the fact that this fucking mass accumulation of wealth is going on. Okay? And that's the reality that we're dealing with here. So it's okay. I'm giving you the permission to fucking change your mind and go, you know what? I'm witnessing this bullying. I'm witnessing this behavior. I'm witnessing this scapegoating. This is not what I signed up for. I'm out. It's okay to do that. It's brave to do that. It's actually pretty, and again, I'm not judging. When I say cowardly, the cowardly answer is to stay and double down in your dissonance. The humble, brave thing to do is to turn around and go, you know what? This is not what I fucking signed up for. I fucked up by supporting these people. I fucked up by sharing their shit. I fucked up by peaking a whole bunch of women who are now fucking so far down the rabbit hole. That's on me, okay? I have to own that. I also own the fact that when I bought this bullshit that, digital marketing would be win-win for creators. I've sold that shit. I have to live with that. It's okay. All right? That's part of growing as a human being, but doubling down into it is fucking I don't know what I don't know what to tell you at this point, right? But it's the same thing with Twitter, right? I on the space, someone asked why I'm still there, and it's well, if you watch my content, you know why, which is that I still think there is change that's occurring that I'm optimistic about. But I have to check that every single day to check if that's sunk cost fallacy or whether I'm just too idealistic or too hopeful and I'm seeing things that I desperately want to happen rather than what is actually happening. And so far it's still, 50-50, 75-25. This new CEO kind of makes me go, oh, okay, well, let's wait and see. But remember what I said about this stuff being a choice that you make. This is not unrelated to Tucker Carlson or someone like that, which is that this machine is powerful. It is huge. It is fucking massive. And people get caught up in this stuff over a period of years. You are just co-opted. Someone like me, I'm fuck that shit. But I'm unusual. Okay, most people I know that I've known from student politics days have drifted. Okay, the whole Greens party has drifted. Fucking, they call them tree Tories. I love that. Someone called them tree Tories. It's the most perfect fucking description, which is they're upper middle fucking class. They're inner suburbs of Sydney, inner suburbs of Melbourne. These fucking teals, the teals and the Greens are indistinguishable from each other because the Greens fuck up what Labor's trying to do. Every time they obstruct and they fuck up and they take votes away from Labor movements. Okay, they're not further left. That's something that they started out that way with consensus, decision making, and it started out that way, but it is being captured that way, which is that now it's about being fucking polite. It is about, again, I've talked about that before with the whole, I've witnessed a lot of this stuff, and again, most of it is microcosmic because I usually just nope out of things, but there's things I've seen. I didn't come from nowhere. I have witnessed things and I've gone, no, I'm not okay with this. Hundreds of times in my life. Okay. And I'm unusual. Most people go, well, somehow I'm way poorer than I should be. Okay. Because I've usually just gone, fuck it. I end up unhappy. All right. I can't do a 9-to-5 professional corporate job for more than 4 months before I become fucking suicidal. I don't know what's, but that's not, I used to think that was something wrong with me, but it's not. It is just the system that I feel it too much. Right. And I just, it's bullshit. It's complete and utter bullshit because all I see is people making decisions. And this supposed personal responsibility lies on CEOs. It lies on people who work in HR. It works in fucking, in content creators and influencers. It works in everything, where when you are faced with a choice between the right thing and the wrong thing, between profit and, people, or what's right. Okay. Now, you can quibble. Okay. And I understand people do this. Okay. People have to pay their bills. You have to pay your bills. Okay. But at the same time, I get it. You got kids, you got reputation, but own that part, which is I've got bills to pay. Own the choice. Don't rationalize the choice and make it something that was inevitable or out of your control. Okay, some things are out of your control. Obviously, the more senior you get in an organization, the more control that you have over the direction of that organization. But even CEOs are at the mercy of a board. Even the even the board is at the mercy of the rest of the board, and a board is accountable to the shareholders. Right? That's you're over a barrel to capital wherever you fucking turn. Okay, so it's not necessarily that simple. I get it. However, you can be honest with yourself, perfectly honest with yourself, and go see things as they are. Commit to seeing things as they truly are as much as you can, and go, what am I contributing to this thing? Okay, what are the people that I am following and I'm giving money to? What are their interests and their motives? Okay, why, when someone is an activist, okay, now again, there are problems, okay, with activists being nitpicky, annoying fuckheads. I get it, okay. There's, again, I can objection handle like the best of them, but I'm thinking about this stuff out loud. The thing is that why, when somebody is making enough to live, are they still doing the same things that are unethical? Okay, I will give people a shot of making certain choices up until a certain point, to a certain income, to a certain level of survival, to a certain, there's certain decisions that you just have to make. Okay. I don't think personal responsibility does not really kick in until you have your basic needs met, okay? That's because I'm a socialist, a real one, who goes, no, personal responsibility does not exist. People make complex choices right up until they, reach a point where, their needs are met, or, various other things. Now, obviously, people who are born wealthy, they are in a bubble where they're not really working to achieve something. So, them getting to a certain point, their level, it's not necessarily a level of wealth, because you can, that's why I will give concessions to Tucker Carlson, or I'll give concessions to this new Linda, what's her name, CEO of Twitter, should learn her name, but I'm not going to. But that's why I'll give them concessions, because they operate in a machine and they've made a decision to go here. And you got to look at what's in their best interests. And, people who have that kind of money aren't motivated by money. That's one thing, okay? People who have it's very interesting and a lot more complicated than you would think. But that's why I tend to just go, well, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. But people thinking Elon Musk is motivated by money and profit, no, because when people get that much money and profit and power, they can do anything they want. They go, well, what next? Because, that's what humans are like, okay? Unfortunately, capitalism has this way of accumulating where, those that are least likely to self-reflect, psychopaths, tend to float to the top. That again, this is the thing where trends and a tendency for things to happen and a system, right? That this is where personal responsibility versus a systems thinking is I think of as, you can't assign personal responsibility to any person particularly unless they've had their basic needs met, and unless you change the incentives and the incentive structure, right? So as is here, hello, inner city environmentalists. So Tucker's chosen avenue out of cable news. It's an interesting one. Exactly. And I go, you know what? And this is why because I just basically go, watch, wait, observe, think about myself first. Funnily enough, guess what? I clean my own room. Funnily enough, I look at myself first. Funnily enough, I'm taking fucking 101 life advice from a fuckwit. Okay? Because he doesn't actually, it's just, you can get that advice anywhere. Don't get it from him. But I'm just saying, right? This stuff, it's You need to, this is why it keeps coming back to basic media literacy, understanding how these systems work, how online marketing campaigns work, how corruption works, how capitalism thinks, how things function, versus the power that you actually have when you ignore all of that and you show up and you fucking do the work and you learn all the things. And that's obviously the biggest barrier because, we're up against people who are just, again, thinking as a service, right? It's you pay a subscription and much like accounting software or fucking anything else, it's just, software as a service. You got thinking as a service. You just pay someone to think for you. I would hate for someone to pay me for that. That's bullshit. Think for yourself. I'll just, lead you in a direction and hope that you meet me there and I'll obviously provide you with whatever. Not for free because I'm fucking busy but I'm just saying, right? It's and this personal responsibility stuff has a basis in left-wing thought as well. So if you're an ideologue and you're stuck on the left, look at Alfred Adler, okay, as his model for psychology, okay? He was a fan of Lenin's. He was a friend of Lenin's. And it's called individual psychology. And that comes from a school which is that basically, the smallest divisible that smallest reduction down of a unit in a society is the person, right? And so again, I'm butchering that shit, but I'm saying look it up. There's a great book called The Courage to be Disliked that does a Socratic reading of Alfred Adler's ideas. It's very accessible, it's very profound, and it's very good, right? Obviously, read stuff again, get an audiobook. I don't care how you do it, just fucking do it. Be more curious. But this Tucker Carlson moving, this, the Linda Yakaraka, I don't know what her name is, right? But all this stuff where people are just losing their shit over World Economic Forum or whatever. It's like, well, no, because I can see a world where maybe I was in that world, where I kind of, if I'd done all the things I was, probably not because I'm working class, right? I grew up fucking, I'm a full-blown born prole, right? I would not have progressed. That was what I realized was that it was actually it was bullshit. But there'd come a point where I was sort of doing maybe her assistant, right? Or maybe sort of, maybe fourth in charge or head of a, CMO or some level like that, right? I was CMO when I sort of started to quit, CMO level, right? Chief Marketing Officer was my kind of level, Chief Digital Officer for like a medium-sized business. That's where I kind of noped out of the whole thing. So I was, on that track. But I also know the concessions that I made over the years. And it did conflict with my values and it did conflict with who I am. And I have to, if it did that for me, then I have to assume that it does that for everybody else. Like you can't just, I find it bizarre. This is just some feedback for the left, if anyone's watching. Other than Bazza, of course. Maybe I'll watch the replay and I'll put some clips. I think there's actually some quality clips in this. But some advice for the left is you just don't be a hypocrite, right? You got to overcome this is again a psychological fundamental attribution error if you're interested, which is our bias and our tendency, okay, when we have dissonance or when something's going on, which is that we tend to give ourselves the benefit of the doubt and look at others in the worst possible light. And that creates some sort of, there's a dissonance there because people might, we tend to assume the worst of others and assume the best of ourselves. We have mitigating circumstances. They're on the hook for everything that they do. Do you see what I'm saying? That's like the fundamental attribution error. Okay. That's one of our many hundreds of biases that we, have to fight against in order to be half decent people, right? That's just, the one thing that is human nature, Jordan Peterson, rather than fucking capitalism and economics and AI, like people being and mass layoffs. That's not nature. That's a choice by somebody to make humans lose their jobs, their houses, their mortgages, their marriages. That is someone's decision to do. They are not victims, okay? Yes, in the current system, it's necessary, and I'll give them that concession, but it is not a law of nature. It is not physics. It is economics, and that has been co-opted by various interests over the years to tell you that the fucking national budget and the money system and all of these things, that is just how it has to be because that is a fact. It's not. And that's why you're seeing the right double down on these fucking bullshit economic ideas that spending causes inflation. Spending doesn't cause inflation, okay? Do you know what causes inflation? Prices going up. And do you know what? Because again, the theory is that you increase demand for a product. That's a microeconomic retarded view of economics. I love how these guys are like, don't you understand basic economics? Yeah, I do. Supply and demand, fuckhead. So by spending, you increase demand. You're cherry picking demand. What about supply? Corporations restrict supply. Corporations put prices up. Corporations make the decision to lay people off. Corporations make the decisions to do these things. What are corporations made of? Corporations are made of people who are trying to climb to the top where psychopathy rules and prevails. Where being less empathetic and less fucking nice to people and colder, okay, is advantageous in corporate life. So ergo, logical reasoning bros, personal responsibility. Who makes the decisions? Who signs the thing? Okay? You could say, oh, but mum and pops are shareholders. No, they're not. Institutional investors own the majority of shit. Hey, BlackRock own fucking everything. Vanguard own everything. Guess what? All that ESG bullshit, all that DEI bullshit, all of that stuff comes from there. Okay? This fucking trans shit is nothing but a marketing campaign for fucking 4 hedge funds that own everything that we eat, see, fucking live in. They own everything, these hedge funds. Okay? Institutional investors. Institutional investors are hedge funds. Hedge funds represent the top 1% and their fucking wealth moving money around at your expense. And then they pass down the costs of fucking business. My overheads have tripled in the last year because of the stuff that I've got, my overheads and stuff. And I've reduced my income down because I'm trying to not take on too much client work, trying to study, trying to make this thing work. I'm fucking hemorrhaging money to the point where I just need to cut off all of the subscriptions. And it's just like, but they act like that's a fact of nature. And AI is communist. AI has a communist bias and the World Economic Forum are trying to get us to eat bugs. What a load of shit. It's like, which one makes more sense? That suddenly the world's richest people decided communism was a good idea and that they should share everything. Or the people, think about it. Who decides to put prices up? Employers. Who decides to restrict wages? Employers. Who decides to fucking, fire people? Employers. Who decides what projects to run? Who decides to implement AI? Who decides to implement these things? Who decides to fund things? Corporations. What are corporations made of? People who make decisions. People who make decisions, they make often, yes, impossible decisions, okay? Nobody, again, it's a system. Vygotsky is actually a very good psychologist, Russian psychologist. Oh, bots, Russian bots. Yeah, Russia. Well, you're just feeding the fucking Red Scare now, Vygotsky. Whew! Do you know what it means to be on the left? To die young, to be murdered. Marx died without, stateless, okay? He's one of the lucky ones. Rosa Luxemburg, assassinated. Lenin, I think, was assassinated, wasn't he? Yeah, fucking can't remember. Vygotsky, assassinated. That's what happens. Communism. Fuck me. Oh, God. But to be on the left is to lose and sometimes fucking die. And I know that sounds like a harsh reality for a lot of these bougie fuckheads who think that they can change it from within in yoga pants and fucking, it's like you can't. But you can at least own it and go, I'm making compromises here. I'm going to try my best. It sucks. I'm not going to pour a bottle of wine down my neck every day because I can't live with myself. What I'm going to do is not gaslight those who are fucking trying hard. That's the thing that you can commit to do, is not gaslight anyone who is doing the shit that you should be doing. Okay? And be honest with yourself and go, I'm in here. I'm stuck. Right? That's why I joke, like, give me money on Patreon for reparations, because I'm fucking doing the hard work and I'm doing the risky work that these people, fucking DEI fuckheads, are too afraid to do, which is to tell people that, you know, like I'm talking about fucking fascists online. I'm talking about fascism. I am calling out some of the most powerful like digital like empires, Daily Wire and those fucking empires, right? I'm up against all of that shit to try and get you to go, oh, you know what? Maybe I should withdraw my money. At least get you to go, oh, that's content for them. Oh, that's just fucking content. That's numbing me. Where can I go? The 2 hours that I spend listening to like garbage, where can I go to a meeting? Can I learn a new thing? Can I do a course? Can I do Zoom call? Can I fucking, you know, read some stuff? Or am I going to just use thinking as a service for $10 a month? Right? And again, that's not a sales pitch, right? I have every faith that if I say what I mean, people will, and they have the capacity and they feel moved by what I say, that they will support me. Okay? I don't need to pitch you. It would be nice, but I don't see anyone with money coming anytime soon, because I understand your choices because I made them. But I'm telling you, it's a fucking cul-de-sac. You end up unhappy. You end up fucking, you know, miserable. You end up self-destructing, in my case, okay? You end up fucking sick, okay? You end up fucking like, yeah, okay? That's the reality of, like, it comes out in other ways, all right? It will come out in your lifestyle choices. It will come out in your fucking food. And all of these people own everything you eat, everything you drink, everything you consume, and all of the media. And the one thing you can do is go, you know what? Fuck them. I understand that I'm stuck, but let's fucking make it so my kids don't have to go through that. Not go to a fucking school meeting and perpetuate the same vile witch hunt, moral panic bullshit from the 50s and 60s. It's fucking revolting. It's just, Jesus Christ. But anyway, this fucking cultural Marxism nonsense. Bollocks. Anyway, how does AI work? AI is not Google. I've seen people saying this. It's not fucking Google. It is not a search engine. It doesn't give you information. Okay? This ChatGPT, what does ChatGPT do? ChatGPT is like autocorrect. It is not a search engine. It is like autocorrect on your phone. Okay? You type a word. Okay? And it gives you 3 potential words underneath what you've typed. Okay? And you choose them. I ignore it, turn it off. But, you know, you choose them. You choose 3 words. ChatGPT predicts which one of those words that you're likely to want. And it fucking just generates it like autocorrect. It is a probability model based on language. It is not, a source of wisdom. So if everyone is wrong, okay, ChatGPT will be wrong. If we live on an internet littered with propaganda and nonsense and far-right bullshit that needs to be corrected in that thing, there's going to be an overcorrection and over-sanitizing. It's going to give you a fewer choices in those words, okay? That's, like one of the funniest things about, I was, like I've said before with my last stream, that I'm almost insulted they think I'm using AI, right? But like there's a thing called ChatGPT hallucinations, right, where it just makes things up. It'll just hallucinate things and facts. I did a test because I wanted to see, like I've been A/B testing this. Again, I haven't used it for academic. I wouldn't. Why would I? Because it's not, why? Nobody in their right mind would, okay? Anyone who gets caught using it fucking deserves it for being stupid, not for cheating. And anyone who passes it is like worse, right? It's not fit for purpose because it's the probability model of what word comes next, like with autocorrect. And it goes, well, what are you most likely to use next based on what's everyone most likely to use? That's how it works. It's not sourcing and compiling information. It's not doing anything like that. Google is Google is the same. It's just got different signals. Google uses lots of different signals, like, who what you click on before, A big part of these cookies with Facebook and Twitter and all those things, how you get targeted ads is, they see what you browse on the web and give you stuff that you might be interested in. That was the model that we were sold. Okay, that's the model that I want to see Linda maybe disrupt with Twitter, which is, I might actually talk about that separately because I think, I've talked too long. Now I kind of went off on a tangent, but but the way that you need to understand that ChatGPT is a large language model. It is not an oracle. It's not something that you look up. It is a chat bot. It has got inputs, and it looks at like what the probability is dependent on what you've asked it. Much like when you fucking talk to any fucking customer service chat now, okay? They're based on what keywords you're giving, and it assesses. It's just a sophisticated version of that. It's garbage. And so people keep saying, oh, it's basically a new Google. It's not even that. It's not even that. It is. It doesn't source journals. It doesn't source academic journals. It can't read anything that is behind a paywall. Like obviously that might change. Like there's going to be. I've noticed that LexisNexis are actually working on a sort of legal specific one. So the large language model. It's, I think it's called transformative AI. I always need to keep notes because it's so complex. It's fucking dense. Even AI people can't keep up with it at this point. Like the papers are fucking dog shit dry and bores the fucking shit out of me. And if I wanted to be bored to death, I'd just do my law assignments. But it's transformative AI. It's all right. Look at Tristan Harris has done a good presentation on it. But basically, it's based on a bunch of inputs, and you can contain that, and it just predicts what's next. That's really good for like maybe precedent with law. So you kind of, you can look at what's related to what. One example of that is Research Rabbit, which is where you can find related papers and various other things like that. I really love that's really useful for finding journal papers and stuff. And but you've got all of these other, the other one that it's really good for is like Chat PDF is a really good product where you can upload a PDF and it will summarize it, and you can ask questions of what's in that PDF, but it's just contained to that. Okay, so it's like a basic search thing, but it's only reliant on it's just a smarter search engine in the sense that I can only search what it's already been fed. And it's got some content from the web, but it's got like, because of the way that the right-wing media skews the internet and astroturfs everything and all of that sort of stuff, right? They had to put gates around these things to stop them fucking it. So of course it's going to overcorrect and be like, I think I said this before, which is that have a conversation with ChatGPT to check if you're fucking thinking straight. If you're angry by what ChatGPT is putting out, then, maybe consider that you need a correction. Now, obviously there's political aspects to this stuff, but it's fairly benign. It's based on evidence. It's based on, the stuff that they've put in there is fairly consensus driven. Now there are gaps, okay, but well, that's another thing, Bazza, which is that lawyers there's a strong move to communicate like outside of legalese now and not communicate like a dry cunt. But seriously, the way that I use is just when I'm reading stuff. Is to distill it, because sometimes it's like I call it the what mean button. What mean? Because I can't fucking understand what half of these fucking fucks are saying. But it's useful for that, where I can look at. That's why I like Chat PDF. That seems to be a grey area, but I don't obviously use it to. I don't know, but I use it for research papers to kind of go, okay, can you explain this? Because it just helps me to get the understanding, so I can. It's not like I'm using it to write anything, right? But yeah, the plain language movement, yeah. But making sure that terms of service and those sorts of things are all clear is very is quite beneficial. People are moving towards that, right? And also like fine print, unconscionable contract, predatory contracts. The law is moving in a way where, obfuscating things and accessibility is just best practice, and it's better for you. If you're writing a contract that you want someone to sign, you're probably less likely to get on the hook for these unconscionable contracts if they are readable, understandable. You understand sort of, the intentions and all of that stuff. When it comes to the contract, it makes a better contract to make it so that I don't want people to sign a contract they don't understand, right? And I think that most people don't. So, but anyway, that's a whole fucking digression. But I don't even know if I want to be a lawyer, but I know I'd be a good one, but I just don't know if I can get through law school, man. I really don't. Anyway, I got to make a decision. I might just do one unit at a time, but it's just so much. It's so expensive and time consuming, and like I got to make money, and because all the costs are pushed out on me. Running, I just, yeah. But anyway, so that stuff is, how AI, well, not AI, there's lots. Okay, so Google has an AI, Twitter has an AI, artificial intelligence. It depends. Okay, these are specifically like large language models. They're a transformative AI or transformer AI, right? Which are quite a specific thing, which is basically, you can just input a bunch of stuff and have it predict what's next, which is really great for code. It's really great. I imagine it's going to be really powerful for sorting and compiling, research papers together, summarizing them, sort of, that sort of stuff. Like people who are having to interpret complex things, obviously there's value in that. Okay, there's value in scholars doing that, but scholars are probably going to change, like trying to interpret what Marx meant. That's a whole industry in itself, like reading, text. Imagine being able, one of the projects that people are working on is like trying to like translate animal language to like be able to understand animals, like based on patterns. It's basically just pattern recognition, right? But ChatGPT is not connected to the internet. And because they opened it up to the public and they've learned from Tay and they've learned, it wasn't me, they learned from Tay and they learned from all of these things that people tend to fuck it up. That, internet being internet, of course they're going to correct for fuckheads like Jordan Peterson and all these fucking Nazi fuckheads to turn around and like try and game that system because they've been engaging the internet in like information warfare since 2012, right? And Fox was doing it, on cable news before that. Like this is a well-established, well-documented, well-researched thing, which is that it is heavily skewed in the favor of the United States. It is heavily skewed in the favor of the fucking far right of the United States. They've got unlimited money, unlimited interests, unlimited fucking people willing to be bought and sold for fucking to say anything. Unlimited fucking, lack of ethics. Like there's no bottom, okay? And good people, again, that's where we're orienting towards that interest and that greed because it's just stacked in that favor. So anyone to turn around and say that the left is winning right now or that the left has any fucking power outside of this bullshit corporate branding veneer that hides from the fact that their sneakers are $3 a pair and they're charging $300 and passing on the cost to their vendors at every fucking turn and laying off staffs at every fucking turn, blaming the pandemic, blaming AI. You made a decision. You fired people. You didn't absorb the cost. You have no balls. I've been doing a fucking assignment on Queensland's I'm going to talk about that separately. Like what happened with Queensland's upper house, how ballsy the Labor Party was in 1921. Fucking epic. One thing about studying law in Queensland is that because my political science degree and my master's and everything, they were all in Western Australia. So a lot of my studying, despite obviously having a broad understanding of Australian systems, and I knew that Queensland had a single house, a single House of Parliament, whereas we've got two, right? Much like the Westminster system, where you got lower house and upper house, except our upper house is not appointed; our upper house is elected. But that's boring. But Queensland is the only state to have a single House of Parliament, and the fucking balls of Labor at that time to go fuck you, and they just basically. It's an incredible story. So that's actually been my assignment. And that's why it's funny because I get excited about the topic. I love the topic, but I want to write a fucking funny Bill Bryson story about it. I don't want to write an essay. I don't know how I'm going to be able to, like, unless I can find a way to get my reach back somehow and grow this audience and get more patrons and all that sort of stuff. I don't know how, it's just this constant fucking clusterfuck of like, spinning my wheels. I have no choice but to go the essay route. I don't want to. I'd rather just write full time and, tell all these stories and whatever, but teach people how to campaign and, be a source of wisdom for political campaigns and being smarter and better and, even a little bit of self-development, like working on yourself before going off and, being an activist. Like being an activist, you need to know who you are before you go shouting at anyone else. And I've been noticing a lot of people who are fucking hypocrites, right? Especially the Christians over drag and shit right now, bullying women online who don't deserve it. It's not very Christian. Like, I'm more Christian because I espouse forgiveness, charity, humility, you know. What the fuck version of Jesus are you, like, what are you fucking reading? The dude was a socialist, dumb fucks. He loved people. Fucking pricks. Yes, fuck you, all of you bullies. So, not me, I don't give a fuck. They can bully me all they want. I don't like them bullying people, making people's lives hell who don't fucking deserve it. Stating fact, which is that you are fucking glomming onto fascists. And you are fascists. You fucking stupid too. Anyway, there's a whole other bit of shade. Feel free to clip that. I don't give a fuck. But it's just I think we need to remember people have agency. You either have personal responsibility or you do not have personal responsibility. If you do not have personal responsibility, then congratulations. You're a socialist and you're critiquing systems. You're in the right direction, okay? If you are about personal responsibility and you're about, merit, Christianity, all that shit, okay? Judging others and all of that sort of shit. If you're about personal responsibility, then I think you should be about personal responsibility when it comes to your own role in astroturfing, your own role in empire shit, your own role in propaganda, your own role in bullying, your own role in, like, thinking as a service, your own role in fucking, not, like, helping people like me, your own role in, like, legislation in the United States that's banning drag and fucking, striking and all this anti-Labor shit, your own role in the Greens, where you know that it is a fucking upper class movement that's basically just, liberals for forests, right? But, they've just been co-opted into that fucking thing, right? Tree Tories, right? Fuck. I would say that even the Liberals for Forest guy, how did I do there? The Liberals for Forest guy is further to the fucking left than the Greens at this point, okay? Because at least they don't actively fuck up Labor, okay? They don't actually take hundreds of thousands of votes away from workers who are hurting and can't even get a fucking fair cop in Fair Work tribunals, can't get a fair cop from Centrelink. And then you turn around and start critiquing the fucking budget when they've got to fix their dog shit fucking shit from 10 years. And you've got a bunch of fucking gender critical people arguing to fucking vote for a fuckwit who in every respect is anti-woman when it comes to aged care, Medicare, fucking welfare state, housing, income inequality, fucking, all of this stuff, leaning in, all that bullshit, war, being pro-war, okay? But that's Labor's fault because they won't, come along and play with your little dictionary games from Twitter. Because you're confusing content with politics. Politics involves policy. Policy needs to be signed off on and agreed on by stakeholders in various factions. I've talked about this before. They didn't define the word woman because they need factions on board. Throw them a bone so they don't start shit and pull votes to the fuckwits in the Greens. This is the difference between content and actually understanding how fucking politics works. Feminists, stop being fuckheads. You're falling for this shit where they vote for fucking reactionary people who in every other policy will vote for fucking shitty aged care for old women who outlive men and usually end up in a home because they're fucking ungrateful shitheads that she gave birth to will fucking put her in a home. So she sits in her own shit eating slop Yes, that's fine. That's the party you vote for, the pro-woman party. The pro-woman party who puts health premiums up so that I have to pay fucking $600 a month so that I can get fucking an elective surgery that is based on medical misogyny because they weren't minimizing my symptoms for years. The repeated surgeries where they were careless, and I've had a repair job, and I'm fucking economically and like because I can't get it in a public system. It is an elective procedure because it started as an elective procedure, and now I have to pay $600 a month to fucking stay alive. Yeah, your pro-woman party. Howard and his pro-woman fucking policy positions. Right? Social welfare, robo-debt, single mothers. Fucked by robo-debt. A program by the pro-woman party that caused people to commit suicide because of the fucking debt and the oppression of being a single parent. Fuck this. Good on you. You want 2 parents. Good for you. The religious freedom laws. Oh, yes, in principle, I agree. However, it's a law that allows Christian fuckheads and Helen Lovejoys all over the country to discriminate against marginalised groups. Okay? Education, public schools. Okay, now that lies with the states. But again, because you're looking at, if you understand the difference between, oh my God, that government is in power and that policy happened, if you actually fucking look at the difference between content and politics, you will know that tied grants are a big factor. So a federal Liberal government means that, you know, especially in Western Australia where we contribute so much money towards the federal, like, you know, pot and get fuck all back, but because of tied grants where they have to use the money for a specific purpose, unfortunately, that fucks up the Labor government who have been given money for a fucking bell tower, but not for hospitals. And then everyone sees the state government going, you're fucking allocating it to the fucking, not the fucking hospitals, dumb bogans who won't even look stuff up. The pro-woman party. Meanwhile, the ALP have been voting for fucking cheap medications, environmental fucking reform, like all sorts of, like if you actually look at the details of the policy, you know, increases in fucking, you know, welfare provisions, again, inadequate, but you know, we've got a whole legacy of an obstructionist upper house. I will talk about Queensland at some point. An obstructionist upper house led by the fucking green tree Tory fucks who should be on side with any kind of incremental change, but of course no, because the fucking perfect is the enemy of the good in bougie land. People could do with the fucking money, but you've decided to quibble. And it's like, get fucked, all of you. Like, people actually are fucking living in their cars, okay? The ALP are over a barrel. They've got an obstructionist fucking opposition. They're having to repair shit. And I'm like, you know, again, I'm not going to be a member of a political party because I think I'm better off just, you know, making fewer all-in decisions. I'm already doing that with like Twitter and law school. That's enough. But I'm just saying, get your fucking head straight. Employment law, women, okay? Largely casualised, a lot part-time, being able to be sacked for going on maternity leave. No maternity leave. The pro-woman party, everybody, where women have no rights and the casualisation of the workforce. Oh my God, the ALP won't commit to paper because a very fucking annoying faction has taken over and captured a bunch of the fucking media because they think that this shit is content, not fucking policy. And so you can't commit to writing shit on paper because they will go and the fucking Twitterati fucking green tree Tory fuckheads in the media, liberal light, okay? They will turn around and use any opportunity to turn around and attack fucking Labor. Good luck. So let's not put that. There's actually, like, you know, real policy outcomes that happen here, which is welfare, fucking, like I said, aged care, Medicare, health insurance, everything. The pro-woman party. Give me a fucking break. This is why I don't get swarmed with my mentions. They all fucking... You're not a feminist if you vote for that shit. And if you're even considering supporting that party. It's not even a fucking debate. Because this quibbling over fucking definitions, it looks great on a T-shirt. Fuck me. Unbelievable. I can't believe people fall for this shit. There's real policy here, people. If you're a feminist and you're not at a fucking meeting, nicely, okay, not being a fuckhead that just shouts slogans at people and actually wants to help change things, unlike the Greens who just obstruct, you know, they're a fucking pain in the ass. While people are living in their cars and fucking, you know, corporations have decided because of COVID, because of AI, oh, it's inevitable. It's our right. What are you going to do? We might coup you. You wouldn't want to pass a fucking supplier bill that gets you fired now. It's not like there's a precedent for that. Look that one up. Whitlam coup, 1975. John Pilger. Now, Wikipedia says the CIA responded. There's no evidence for that. Fuck off, there isn't. Get fucked. They said that shit. Get fucked. We'll just laugh. Get fucked. Have a soot, cunt. Where are we?
What a load of old shit!
Do you like my thumbnail? I actually took my earpiece out because I hate fucking things in my ears, and I ignored the Discord chat. Hopefully no one was in there, but that's okay. I have set up the Discord so that people can call in. I need to just tweak it a little bit more so that I can have a waiting room, and then people can call in and have a chat or whatever. And I've still got to do a little bit of, it's just, again, fucking takes hours that I don't have. Like already I'm fucking around on this stream when I should be doing my essay. You know, hopefully, you know, feel free, honestly, if you have my permission, if you want my, the link to the download recorded video of this and you want to cut the clip for me, by all means, go for it. Again, I'm not saying I want you to. I'm not going to exploit you. You know, I'm not going to ask anyone to do it. But if you feel like something I've said actually resonates and you want to share it, but you know people won't watch the whole thing, then of course, like you have my permission, share and share alike, completely free, completely open. Unfortunately, you know, like I don't want a paywall. I want a fuckwit wall, but I don't want a paywall, right? Which is, you know, I want to keep fuckwits out. But I don't really, you know, again, we live in a system where I have to do things under fucking coercion that I don't want to do, which is to ask people to become patrons. That sucks because unfortunately I'm defending the people who fucking can't afford shit right now. And the people who can afford shit are too busy sitting up, sniffing their own farts and pretending that they're socialists. And it's like, you're not. Like, again, it's not about purity spirals or anything. I understand why. The only call to action that I have other than like subscribe and all that shit and, you know, help me out where you can and refer me and promote me and all that sort of stuff. Because, you know, that's how messages spread. Even if you can't afford to, nobody can. I might get lucky, right? If I can build enough of an audience, I might find a like-minded fucking boutique advertising agency that sort of wants me to work with them, okay? Always in full disclosure, always, you know, all those things, okay? Those things happen once you get to a certain level. And I'm not at that level because I've been, I'll go fucked. Probably for calling people, probably for saying what I'm saying. I piss a lot of people with this. But, you know, but again, people get mad at me because I'm a happy person. Miserable people get mad at happy people. I said this yesterday on Twitter. Miserable people get mad when I'm happy. I'm a happy person. Okay. I go through severe not mental health. I go through severe health problems. Some could say mental health, but I have, you know, like a lot of health problems, but I don't talk about, I'm optimistic. I love being here. I'm grateful to be alive right now. Right. I'm happy to be here. People don't like that because they have to face the fact that they're miserable, even though they're very lucky. And that's a very hard thing to face. Okay. Similarly, you know, people who aren't like clever, resent people who are. That's a normal human response. You feel threatened by that because it reminds you, it's a mirror, okay? And it's the same thing with people like me who turn around and say, do a self-audit and look at what you're doing and contributing to. If it wasn't this issue, okay, would you bully people? Would you harass people? Would you give consent? Would you vote in this direction? Of course you wouldn't, because you're not a shithead. But these things are so fucking powerful. They are so well funded. They are so fucking hypnotizing that you think that if you outsource your thinking because it's easy, because you're working fucking 12 hours a day and reading is fucking hard and the last thing you want to do is think about this shit. Because the stuff that I say does trigger existential shit. That's why I'm good at what I do, but it's also why I could never fucking get really to the sea level, because I used to give people fucking existential crises when I asked about their branding. I couldn't bullshit. I used to say, let's cut the bullshit. You haven't approached me for branding. You haven't approached me to do a value proposition. You haven't approached me for anything. When you go, what are your goals? Okay. Our goals are to make the world a better place. This would play out a lot. Our goals are to make the world better or achieve this outcome. No, it's not. Be honest with yourself. Why? Okay, what makes it? One of the questions you do in a brand workshop, why do you get up in the morning? Why do you do what you do? And they go, oh, because I get to be with people. No, you don't. Why do you get up in the morning? Why do you go to this job? To pay your bills. Okay, that's an honest conversation. How do you pay your bills? By meeting these KPIs. How do you keep your job? By meeting these KPIs. Okay, what's in those KPIs? Be honest. Why do you have those KPIs? Bottom line, sales. Okay, we can have an honest fucking conversation now. Now, we work back from the truth. Now, we can wrap that in bullshit. We can wrap it in this branding stuff, but I want you to be honest about what you are doing and what you need to achieve, because I'm not going to sit here and promise you that your KPIs are going to link over here, because you can't say that social justice is your KPI, right? Or your goal of your campaign, that you think that you're raising awareness about a thing, and you go, well, what happens when you raise awareness and you blow out your budget because you've raised lots of awareness, but, your bottom line's affected by that? Well, look what happens. So let's be honest, shall we? And it's valuable, but, people tend to have nervous breakdown. But that's confronting. But I know this. But again, you can be gentler about it. Obviously, I'm more aggressive when talking here because we're friends and I can say that and I'm not trying to tell you. But what I can do is tell you that do that for yourself. Audit yourself. What do we all lie to ourselves a lot. I try. I'm not perfect. I'm a fuckwit too. I can, the number of times I get upset and quote tweet or fucking whatever and then delete it or say something stupid or whatever. That's just being human, but I'm aware of it. I'm aware of my weaknesses. I don't know anything. Nobody knows anything about me that I don't know about myself already. And I'm not 10 times harder on myself for. And that's a way to be. If you're sitting there bullshitting yourself, giving yourself all these excuses and passes, oh, well, this is the only political party. This is my only option because of some bullshit dictionary quibble that I read online. And I've been, spoon-fed a whole bunch of right-wing propaganda that the fucking left wing is taking over the whole universe and the wokes are winning and fucking all this bullshit. And that's my only choice. Then no, you have agency. You have as much agency as a CEO who decides to lay off 10,000 people because of COVID or because of AI or all of these things. They are not automatic things. They are human-designed, man-made systems designed by people, enforced by people, policed by people, adjudicated by people who make decisions. Own it. That's all I'm saying. Own your role. Personal responsibility, courtesy of Jordan Peterson, everyone's favourite schizo poster. I actually went looking for his tweets. He's worse than me. I'm on Twitter a lot. I'm just around because it's on my desktop. Fucking hell. I couldn't even find it. When you go looking for a thing from him, you can't even find his shit, man. Scroll. I went looking for something from a couple of days ago, and I was like, I had to, because the stream was starting at 9:30. I had to fucking pack it in. It's insane. But anyway, I'll do something about the new Twitter CEO soon. But like, this is, it links much to like what I was saying, quite a lot, which is that you can't judge someone's character based on the work they do. We just don't know. I think everyone has a fresh start until other, I just assume, especially if it's media, maybe because she did that, maybe what happened was she did that whole performative interview with Elon Musk and she kind of went, well, I'm in. I've been waiting for something like this. Look at these cunts. I've been to these business events, these networking events, and there's these people that go, look at these cunts. Oh my God, these fucking cunts. They're talking so much shit. And you know what? They've been people who 20 seconds ago were on the stage saying the exact same shit. Fucking TED Talk people, man. Did you know they train you to talk in a specific way with a specific cadence and a specific structure and all that stuff? It's again, people have businesses around being TEDx coaches, TED Talk coach, all that shit, but they coach people and they get off the stage and they're back to being people again and they go, get a load of that shit. It's like you got to give people a shot. Give it people, just always. And you know what's more Christ-like than being mean about drag and fucking suppressing people and oppressing fucking gay people and like all of this bullshit, batshit, fucking evangelical Christian nonsense? Do you know what's more Christ-like than anything you could ever do? Is giving people infinite chances to do better. That's what is Christ-like. I don't know what fucking church you grew up under, but I grew up in the Catholic Church, and the Catholic Church measures you. Like again, there's more class analysis within the Roman Catholic Church, right? Because anyway, that's a whole other fucking thing. But I'm saying the takeaways, depending on where you come from, right? Irish Catholic here, right? Like the working class Catholic, right? It's very much based in principles, okay, and learning. Unfortunately, unquestioning of all the power structures of the Catholic Church, but, at least a lot of people try to live like Christ. These fucking evangelicals, my God, they're just again, Christ is content. It's not a principle they hold, much like these fucking influencers and their politics. Christ is their content. It's not actually the message or the meaningful or the policy or living their politics or living their beliefs, or modeling that belief for other people. It's content. For other people, they have created a product, which is thinking as a service. You pay them $10 a month, and if you're to televangelism, which is what a lot of this fucking woke fucking content factory bullshit is, it's basically online televangelism. Like Tim Pool is a televangelist as much as fucking, Ken Copeland. They're fucking, they're the same. They'll say, you're paying $1,000 a month sometimes to these fucking people to outsource the hard work of doing spiritual work and, all of that sort of stuff. You're outsourcing your thinking. Thinking as a service. It's a digital product. Okay. We good? Any doubts that I'm correct? Does what I say resonate a little bit more than a sparkly fucking T-shirt with a dictionary definition on it? Thought so. A little more substance, don't you think? Fuck me. Anyway, I live my values. Okay? Anyway, I'm going to go. Thanks for watching. If you're watching the replay and you're feeling guilty as fuck, and you're reflecting and you go, I'm going to help her, then do that. But you don't have to. But do share. And if you want a clip, then do it. I just don't have the bandwidth to be able to editing. I tried to edit some clips last week, and it like takes me a whole day, right? Just to do like a couple of fucking, it's like, Jesus Christ, I just can't. But if you see something and or if you're just watching on the YouTube replay and you want to give me the timestamps, that just saves me a lot of time too, because I can just go straight to it. But I can't, I can't keep watching 2-hour, 3-hour things over and over again to edit, right? So thanks, Better. I appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, I'd stream every day if I could. If I had a workflow, I'd stream every day and I'd have clips every day and I'd have someone paid to edit and all of that sort of stuff. And we'd have a good community and that would be my thing. But it's just, I have a tendency to piss people off. I don't know why. Oh, you're having an operation too. That sucks. I hope you get well soon. So I'm going to go. Let's talk offline about that. I hope you're okay. But I've got to go. Thanks for watching. All of that stuff. Become a patron. Subscribe to the email address on my website. Go to the Discord, taylor.xyz. I'm getting it all together soon, but I got to get over this hump with the essay and then catch up on client work, and then maybe I might take a break again and focus on that. I do that every fucking study period. I go to get to the end, but then I'm so fucking exhausted. I never get to it. But I will. I'll commit to that. So anyway, I'm going to go. I love you. Thank you for your precious life seconds. Keep forgetting to say that.
What a load of oh shit!
That mass murderer, Karl Marx?
One more.
Elon.
All right. Take care. Bye.